Welcome to the Romance Podcast. And this week, we are going to talk about something that everybody wants to talk about.
Right?
Money.
Shmoney,
honey. Kenzie, do you know the top two things that couples argue about? I kind of told you the first, but...
Well, yeah. I mean, I do know this.
Okay, what is it?
It's definitely sex and money.
Sex and money.
Definitely.
I don't know the order, if it's money first, sex first. I don't really know, but...
I think they're neck and neck every year.
Because we're a family show, we're going to talk about money.
We're talking about the money, honey.
When it comes to couples and marriages and all that kind of stuff. Because it's kind of taboo in a way. And the reason we're doing this is because I just got done paying our taxes. I was in Elmhurst earlier, getting our taxes done. My least favorite thing in the world to do. Because you never know, am I going to owe a bunch of money? Are we going to get some money? Like, it's just always
There's been some devastating after taxes meetings for you and I.
Well, let's talk about it, because actually last year was the first year that we had to do taxes on our own company because we had our TV show, The MVP Game, on Marquee Sports Network. And it's so weird because like in radio, our radio careers, they take taxes out of your check. So at the end of the year, you might get like a refund a little bit, or at least you don't owe anything, right? But when you have like your own business, then they don't take taxes out. At least they didn't for us. So we had to pay taxes on like our entire TV show.
On the back end.
Yeah, on the back end. We weren't prepared for that. Another thing we were not prepared for was then going into the following year. So this past year, our second season of the MVP Game, our TV show, they wanted us to pay estimated taxes, which to me is the dumbest thing in the entire world. Like, why?
It's because then they get more money. That's why they're doing it.
I was always under the impression that like tax day is April 15th, and just pay your taxes by then and you're good to go. But like having this business that we had to pay like quarterly, estimate what we think we're going to make for the it's the dumbest thing in the world.
It's such a, and we really got double whammy because now the only benefit of it, which it's really not a benefit, but it's, I guess, half glass fulling it, right?
Wait,
is that at the end...
I have a picture, actually, if you're on YouTube. Glass half full.
That's like 3/4.
It is, actually. So I'll drink a little bit while you talk, so go ahead.
Perfect. So with that, is that like if you're paying quarterly, at a minimum, it spreads out your payments. Because it's it really is expensive in one chunk. I know no matter what, you owe that money. So, but what happened is that last year we had to pay that chunk, and then like a month later we had to start paying estimated taxes. Yeah. So it was like boom, boom, like with fees all in a row. Yeah. It was very expensive, mind you, right at our wedding too. So it was not great.
Last year we're like, yeah, we got a TV show, and then it's like taxes come around. Like, wait, what? We did not prepare to pay that chunk of money.
What part-time job are we picking up for the taxes?
You were so mad.
I was livid.
All right, so why are we talking about this? Well, okay, again, it's tax time, tax season, they say, and so we thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about how money plays into your relationships. I found out very early on when we started dating that you were tighter with your money. You were more scared of your money than I was. Now, I'm older than you, so I've been through a lot more stuff than you have, but...
I don't know if that's true. I feel like I've had almost more life experiences.
Okay, relax.
Like tough stuff.
Okay.
You've had more enjoyable stuff than me.
That's fair.
Right?
But I realized this when you were the midday show on B96.
Yep.
And so like this big time radio girl from Tampa in the big city of Chicago, doing well, a nice little contract, and we went to get you a car because you had just moved in from the city. You had moved to the suburbs with me because of pandemic, yada yada yada.
So when I lived in downtown and we started dating, obviously I didn't have a car, and then when we decided to move in together, so we were moving out into the suburbs together. Yeah. I needed a car because I still worked in the city, and not everything's walkable. Wildly different experience than living downtown.
So we went to lease a car for you, like your first like purchase, if you will, and you were trying at that point to get the payment as low as you could, like almost get a cheap car for who you were, and I was like. But you really wanted this like Jeep. You wanted this Jeep Wrangler. You really wanted it.
Yeah, I thought it'd be fun. I like things that are fun.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, all the doors come off.
You're a fun girl, so I get
it. Fun time.
You're a good time Sally.
Is
what they say. Anyway, so you wanted this Jeep Wrangler, but then you're like, oh no, it's too much. The payment's too high. I'm gonna go with like this like lesser car. And I'm like, babe, you are a radio personality here in Chicago. You are making good money. You have no debt, like you're actually like have a savings account, like you work hard. Why don't you just like splurge the extra couple $100 a month and get the car that you want? You were so tight about that.
So I had huge money anxiety for most of my life. I actually do think I inherited that from my mom because my mom has money anxiety, absolutely.
And she will admit that too.
No, absolutely, 1,000%. And so I watched her like she's not a cheap person, but she keeps track of everything,
Yeah.
right? Like she's on it. She'll be like, somebody went Chipotle one time last week. Like she's
I would
all over
imagine
it.
money stresses her out beyond belief.
It absolutely stresses her out
Yeah.
a lot. She thinks about it a lot. And it makes sense, like since childhood, she kind of went through a lot when she was a kid, and it caused money insecurity, I think, as an adult, because she didn't want to be in the same position.
Right. And you
So-
inherited that for sure.
Absolutely, because I mean, you watch things. So it made me stress. Also, what you don't think about, because you've always been near your family.
Yeah.
Always been near your family.
Yeah.
You lived with your parents till you were 28.
I mean, was that necessary in the podcast right now?
Yeah, which I find that like mind blowing, because I'm 28 right now and we're married with children. Like, think about that.
Since you brought it up, can I just tell a funny story really fast? That like
Okay,
really
go ahead.
So back in the day when I was the night show at B96, Styles and Roman, we were like the new like young hot radio show, and of course we're like going out to the clubs after the show and like doing it, right? So we're like, I don't know, it's starting to be a big deal, and we go to this club. If you're old school listeners out here, Dakota's in Schaumburg. It was like the spot, the after hours spot. Okay, so we got off work at midnight. We drive out to Schaumburg, go to Dakota's, party, hang out with some people, meet a group of people, group of girls, whatever. And it's like, hey, let's go hang out afterwards. And so I lived the closest. I lived in Bloomingdale with my parents. So again, Styles and Roman, it's like big time radio. And so they're like, oh yeah, well, we'll go back to your place. Where you at? I'm like, well, I'm in Bloomingdale, 15-minute drive, but you got to be quiet when we go in the basement because my parents are sleeping. And as I said it out of my mouth, I'm like, that is so embarrassing. I need to get my own place. Like, I need to grow up.
Yes. You still didn't grow up just because you got a place, by the way. I sometimes, like, I feel like we have conversations and I'm like, you need to grow up. Like, we still say this to each other. But anyways, so when I compare the age difference, it's just so funny. Like, whatever, different life tracks. So what you didn't realize is, like, you had your parents to rely on that whole time, and you got to save up that whole time. If I got to save rent the whole time until I was 28, I'd probably feel pretty good too financially.
It was great.
But I lived on, not only did I live on my own, I was moving to cities by myself and on my own. And it's not that my parents, like, listen, if something horrible happened, like, yes, I could call my parents, but you really feel like, oh, this is just me. There's not a crutch. There's not something that you're leaning on, like, I could just go ask them. I could stay with them. I could have dinner over there and save money. You don't have those options. And I was always nervous, like, what if my car breaks down? Because when I was in Tampa, I had a car because it's not walkable like Chicago. Like, what if my car breaks down? What if I have a medical issue? What if that, like, it was just, I felt a lot of pressure. I was providing for myself. There was not, in my mind, really somebody else I could, reach out to. I wasn't in a relationship where I could, like, get money. Like, it was me. And coming to Chicago, then you're moving, and I had to spend my own money to move again. The second move by yourself in a new city, again by yourself. So I'd always been like, this is on me, and I need to have a really big buffer in my account for things happening. I was like such a loser. I was not like fun, crazy. I'm gonna spend my money. I'm gonna take this trip. I'm gonna do that. I did not do that with my youth at all because I was so paranoid.
But I will say, you moved to Chicago. You got this big radio job at 23. You moved here with no debt. And you had a pretty good savings account. I was very impressed when I met you that, coming, there's college, student loans, there's all these different things that most people have. And that's totally fine. That's your journey. But you came here and you really didn't. And so, and tell them what you asked me on one of our first dates.
I know. So I was going to say, debt was always debt scares me. I think it scares a lot of people, right? But debt really, really, really freaks me out. And I graduated college without debt. Not only did I have a scholarship, but then I made monthly payments for the remaining amount. Yeah. So I got to graduate without debt. I was very focused on that. I worked many waitressing shifts to make sure that happened. And that's where my money went. I didn't get to take trips during school or do that's what I spent my money on was my monthly payments. So I graduated without debt, and it was a big deal to me. I didn't want to meet somebody with a bunch of debt. Right. Because it scares me. And honestly, it's pretty avoidable because, like, I wouldn't love you right away. So I could be like, no, thank you. And I just, I didn't want to enter into that when I had worked so hard to not have it in my life.
And I do want to say, for anybody listening who has that, like, I have a lot of friends that are still paying off student loans and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, it is very, very normal. This was for you, what you wanted for your life.
I was so scared of it. This is like a personal fear. So yeah, it isn't, whatever. But it's something that I was scared of that I had made sure wasn't in my life because I'm scared of it, right? It doesn't make anyone a bad person. It's just something that freaks me out. So you were very, like, open about how you wanted to be in a serious relationship with me and get married one day. From the day we met, you said that to me. And you're
kind of paraphrasing, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it's true. And so when we were on dates and stuff like that, he'd always be like, You almost wanted me to interview you. Like, ask me questions. Like, I'll debunk anything. Do you have concerns? Why wouldn't you want to be with me? You did that a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I asked you was, do you have any debt?
Yeah.
Because you had a nice car. You're like living your life. It's like, what I'm not going to do is come in on the back end and have to pay for all that because you've been having a blast for 5 or 10 years.
Right.
I'm not paying for the party, you know?
And if I can brag a little bit about something, I've been really smart with my money over the years. Like, listen, like I've had a music career that was awesome, and then it wasn't, and then it was awesome again, and it wasn't again, and then my last Jump Smokers career was like the biggest I've ever had, and now currently we're maybe gonna get started again. Like, so it's like a roller coaster of like money when it came to that. Radio for me, 15 years here in Chicago was very, very steady. So my point is that I was always living within my means, and then those bursts of music successes,
right?
I wasn't getting like Ferraris and stuff. I was putting it into my house. I was putting it into a condo or investment. So I was somebody who I would never say was rich, but like I was smart with the money that I was making, no matter how much I was making at that time.
Yeah, you didn't go crazy, you didn't go beyond your means,
and I have to give a shout out to my parents who gave me a really, really great head start.
Well, it's saying like if you were at home till 28.
I was at home till 28, and I do want to give them credit. They paid for my college too, so they put me in a really, really great position to win in life. So thank you, Mom.
Do you remember?
Thank you, Dad.
Do you remember earlier when I was like, I feel like I've had a little bit more life experience. Yeah. This is what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, but okay, but don't we want to do that for like Tristan and Marino?
Pay for the whole college? I don't know.
All right, anyways,
I don't know about that.
I want to. Obviously,
I know you want to, but I also feel like that built me as a like paying for a lot of it. It would be nice if like I think that kids should have some skin in the game though for their own education, so they're not like, well, sorry, I failed, I don't care.
I told Tristan because he heard about scholarships and he's like, Daddy, if I get a scholarship to a college, can I get a car? I'm like, yes. If you get a scholarship anywhere, we'll buy you a car. Like,
period.
That's a great trade-off.
I'll do that.
All right, so back to your story. Sorry.
I don't remember.
Well, anyway, so we're very, very different. Like, you were very, very tight with your money. I was a little more like, if you want it, get it. Now, listen, I do not. My wardrobe is like Chicago Cubs stuff, obvious shirts, comfortable sweats, hoodies. Unless I'm on TV, then obviously I'll dress the part, or if I like an event, I'll dress the part. But normally my clothes are basic and comfortable. My shoes, like my most expensive shoes, are like, some Nike Kicks or whatever. And I mean, I literally what? Oh, I was gonna say something. Don't look at me that way, Jesus.
I was just looking at you.
You're like disgusted, like.
Well, no, I'm going to chime in at one point. Is that fine?
No. So my point is that I don't spend money on shopping, clothes, none of that stuff. Now, do I have a nice car? Yes, because I drive a lot and I wanted to.
Do you have season tickets?
I was gonna say, do I have season tickets for the Cubs? Yes. For 20 years now, 21 years actually. But that's what I choose to spend my money on, not clothes and jewelry. I have no jewelry. I have an Apple Watch, okay, like whatever. So like my point is that I'm not cheap by any means, but like if I want something, I will definitely buy it no matter what the price tag is, as long as we can afford it.
Yeah, which is, we have two different opinions on if we can afford things sometimes. We have two very different opinions.
But let's finish the story is that I pushed you to buy the Jeep Wrangler because I'm like, come on, Bailey, you deserve, here's the thing, you deserve it. You work hard and you deserve it.
Also, what I didn't know about leases, and this is funny, is that I told you I wanted a 1-year lease. I go, I want a 1-year car lease.
She told the guy that, and the guy like laughed at her, like, wait, we don't do that.
I was like, why? I don't understand. Like, I just want a car for a year. Because in a weird way, I have commitment issues. Not being committed, but I had never done something for 3.5 years in my entire life. When I was sending a car lease, I hadn't lived somewhere for 3.5 years. I think in my entire life. We moved a lot when I was a kid. I moved a lot in radio. I'm like, 3.5 years? I'm like, what if I live in a different state? Like, what do you mean? I was super freaked out about it. And we were just moving in together. And I had never lived with somebody before. No. And this was during COVID. So it's funny. So, because not only did I live with you, I'm also moving in with Tristan. And I'm also moving in with your mom.
My mom was here at the time too, right?
Yeah. And I had never even lived with a guy. So like, that's already like something to navigate. I lived with myself for so long. So I'm like, okay, this is... Yeah. And I was... You don't know. You can move in with somebody and be like, oh, this doesn't work when we live together. We had a lot of fun in our own places. Yeah. But I'm like, this may not work. And I'm like, I can't believe I have to sign a 3.5-year car lease. And we just moved in together. I was terrified.
Fast forward, those 3.5 years are over, and now Miss Kenzie Roman has actually bought that car that you were leasing. You leased to bought, I guess you would say,
leased
right?
to buy?
Leased to buy, yeah. So like, congratulations. Your first car you ever bought. Congrats.
Thank you so much.
All right, so I said earlier, I've always been smart with my money. Here are ways where like I it's funny when you're married, you can do certain things. When you're dating or on first dates, you can't. All right. If you heard our episode 1 of our introduction, our first date, well, our first time going out together.
The first time meeting each other.
Was at a bar in Chicago called Columbus Tap. It's like
it's a hotel bar.
It's a hotel bar in the Fairmont.
Because he pulled out all the stops.
All right. So anyways, we had a great time.
Yeah.
We had 4 Moscow mules.
Two each.
She had 2 and I had 2. Okay. The bill comes as we're wrapping it up. Of course, I'm a gentleman. I got it. No problem.
And I offered to pay for mine.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, no, I'll pay.
I've never let you pay for any of our dates like that. I'm a gentleman.
No, you definitely have, but I was not like, yeah, you can't.
All right. So it's $100 for 4 Moscow mules. And I'm like, now listen, here's our first date or our first time going out. I can't tell her, hey, that I can't make us think about it. I can't question it. I'm just like, got the bill, signed it, no problem. Hey, thank you so much. I got you, girl, the whole thing, right? But in my mind, I kept the receipt and I'm like, 100 for 4 Moscow. They were $25 each. Like, no way.
And they weren't huge. It's not like we got like they were normal Moscow mules with plenty of ice.
We weren't like at a Cubs game or a concert. We're at the Columbus
hotel.
So I was working at V96, which is right by Columbus Tap. So the next day,
no, you were working at US 99.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I was. Yeah. Same building though.
Yeah.
So the next day, I actually walked in there to check their menu because I'm like, did they like charge me for 6?
He went back when I wasn't there.
I went back.
Were they right? Were they 25 a piece?
I guess so. I guess they probably were because I didn't.
They were probably like 22 with tax or 20
maybe.
And then tax.
So 2 things I realized. One, that's a ripoff. Okay, $100 for 4 drinks is stupid. But second,
it's like Vegas.
There are things that like, if that happened to us right now as a married couple, I would speak up.
You'd probably yell at me like, did you need 2? You needed 2 drinks?
I would like ask them, hey, how much were these individually or whatever. But like on a first date, you can't do stuff like that, okay?
I mean, but I have to say, I would have felt bad because I would have been like, oh, let me pay for mine. But I wouldn't have thought you were wrong. I would have been like, that was $100? Like, is something, I
think that comes off as cheap. If I would have done that, I think it would have been a bad impression out of you.
I mean, but the thing was it wasn't a date. You don't do it on a date, but we had just met. So
but it was our first time going out. I'm this guy in the city that you're like was set up to show you around. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, that's a bad look if I'm questioning the receipt on our first time going out.
I'm like, US 99 pays like ass. Oh my God.
I will go one step further. How I'm smart with my money. I am part of every rewards program in the world.
Oh my God, we can't go anywhere without him signing up.
You are looking at somebody who is a Chili's. I get free chips and salsa every time I walk into a Chili's, no matter where it is.
Chili's, McAllister's Popeyes,
Red Robin.
Let
Us Entertain You, all those real nice restaurants.
Andy's Ice Cream, Let Us Entertain You.
You name it, I am part of the rewards club. Now, I will say, give me credit.
Uno's Pizza.
We get so much free stuff because of it, don't we?
Well, we do.
We do.
But the only thing that stinks about the only negative to rewards programs is sometimes it dictates where you eat. Because I'll be like, it's like the weekend, and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of in the mood for sushi. And he's like, no, because there's a $3 coupon. We have $3 off Uno's.
I don't do that.
And it's going to expire on Sunday.
Also, we are loyal to United Airlines. So I have the United Miles Plus app. So like when I go to pay certain places, like McAllister's Deli or Olive Garden, whatever, there are times you can pay with an e-gift card and get tons of miles for free trips down the road. So I do all of that, okay? But here, the reason I'm telling you guys that is because A, it's smart and you guys should play the game. Like, we go to Red Robin as a family because my son loves it, the older son, because little baby only drinks breast milk. Yeah. But like Tristan loves Red Robin. We go and every like 3 or 4 times we get a free burger because like we use it so much and you got to play the game. But I tell you this because, A, do that, get the free stuff. But B, if we were just dating like early on, I wouldn't be doing that in front of you because it's embarrassing. You kind of do feel cheap doing it, even though it's right there in front of you and they want you to do it.
I mean, yeah, I would have, especially because it takes time. That's the thing. Because a lot of times you're like pulling up the app, they have to come back, they have to scan, they have to do this. Not the best look on a date to spend 15 minutes lowering the bill by a few dollars. But as a wife, and we have a shared bank account, spend the 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's also my money.
I'm telling you, we are a part of every program there is, and you do get a lot of free stuff because of it. It's just being smart because you're going to these places anyway. You may as well get credit for it, or you may as well get the free appetizer or whatever it is.
I know, you just signed up for Applebee's the other day because we were trying to find a place to eat. We've had to change some of our restaurant choices because we have a baby.
Yeah, I do take her to really nice places, but with the baby, Applebee's was more our speed.
We're like, where can we go that this won't like blow up in our faces and I can still wear the sweatshirt that he's gonna spit up on for sure.
We have the Let Us Entertain You holiday gift cards that expire on April 15th. We have to go this weekend.
I know.
To do that.
I know.
All right. So anyways.
And we can't go anywhere that nice. I don't know what we're going to we should pick up. Can we do it on pickup?
I think you can, yeah.
We're going to have to pick it up.
Yeah. But see, like you play the game too. You're into it.
I know.
If we could save $50.
Well, you heard me. I have paranoia about money and now our money's together. So now it's like.
Yeah. But again, on early dates, first dates, second dates, as a guy, I would be embarrassed to do that. I wouldn't do that in front of somebody like I do in front of my wife, like because stigma. It reminds me of like, back in the day when I used to go, when I was a little niño, going shopping with like my mom to like the grocery store and her pulling out coupon after coupon after coupon. Right. I think that the rewards programs are kind of like the new school coupon where you're kind of like, getting credit and saving money off of the bill.
Yeah.
It makes you feel kind of cheap, but it shouldn't because you're just being smart.
Remember when places used to have punch cards and then you lose them and you'd be so upset? Ever happened to you?
Well, don't forget, we got punch cards at Applebee's. We got to go back.
Like an actual physical one?
Yeah, they gave us a punch card.
A physical one?
It's like 5 lunches, you get a free one.
I used to get so mad when I would lose my punch card. That was the worst.
That's so not like you to lose stuff.
Shut up.
All right.
Shut up.
Elsewhere in the money situation, the money combo, what else are we going to cover here with money?
Celebrities.
Well, no, there's still stuff about us we got to talk about.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are we going to talk about?
Well, now you kind of spoiled it. Now no one wants to hear about us. They want to hear about celebrities now.
Oh, what was about us with money?
It's okay. Let's go to the...
Oh, like our joint account? Okay, let's talk about what we do with money.
Right.
Okay.
So obviously we should probably in the future get a show flow so we know what's going on.
I don't know why you tossed it to me if you knew.
All right. So anyway, I was trying to include you a little bit more. So...
It's not included.
There are 2 types of... maybe there's more. But when it comes to like becoming a couple... You could keep your separate bank accounts or you could do joint bank accounts, okay? Now, it gets really tricky because if you're going to do a joint, when do you do it, right? Obviously, you first moved in, you had your own account. I had my own account, We did joint accounts before marriage, didn't we?
Yes.
We did.
Yeah. It was one of the things, like, as we're gearing up, because we were paying for the wedding and doing everything. Right. So it was like, okay, even though it's before we're married, we're about to get married. So it was after we were engaged, but before we were married. Yeah. Because it was just stupid. Like, I'm going to owe you $20 for the what? Like, let's just... Right. It just got ridiculous. Yeah. So we decided, let's start combining. Yep. And especially... What would maybe the most uncomfortable, because I wanted us to truly, like we're a family. Like, I love Tristan. To me, like, that's my first kid. Right? Like that's how I view it. It's not, obviously Marina's the first time I give birth or something, but like Marina's Tristan's my first child. It's the first time I became a mom. Mine too. So obviously. So that's how I view it. And what I didn't like is as we were becoming a family and stuff like that, and we would do something, we'd like owe each other money. I hated that. To be honest.
You hated that.
And I don't want you to be offended. I thought it was a turnoff when you'd ask me for money back for something. I felt like it was just weird to me. I'm like, oh, like I'm not trying to be mean, but it was a turnoff to me.
It was a situation where you were paying a lot of money in rent downtown, and then you moved in and you weren't anymore. Yeah. And now, I'm buying all grocery, everything in the world that now I got to buy more than what I was before you were here. And it was like, well, I think, you can contribute a little bit because you were saving all this money in rent now. I feel like you can kind of contribute to the house here as well. Listen, that's a perfect example of like money conversations are not comfortable for anybody. They weren't.
And like, there was something about it where it was like, let's either our money's either together or it's not. And that's really where I
would have preferred to join everything, but it was too early in our relationship to join.
It was a weird transition because it was an awkward transition a little bit too. And then also what I was going to say about this is, say I would take Tristan to do something because you would ask, like, if you had paid for something and I had to pay for half of it, while I take Tristan out and get him new school clothes or something, I'd be like, oh, well, you owe me money because I got his clothes for school or his school. And I took him out to get like school supplies or something.
We would
not like if I took him to a fun day, but
we would pay each other for certain things. And I mean, we go on vacations together. This is back then. Yeah, we split vacations.
But to me, like, I didn't like asking for money for like Tristan's clothes. Like, I took him out to get those, but then it was also like, okay, but you're still saying we're separate.
It was my responsibility,
right? But so it bothered me. I was like, our lives are way too combined to be doing this, is how I felt.
Well, I think you hit it on the head, is that it was a weird time of like, we weren't ready to join our bank accounts yet, but then it did suck to kind of like pay each other money for certain things. Okay, so.
And there was a few times I got mad at you. A few times.
Because you do get funny about money. You do
funny about money.
You do get, it's an awkward thing for you sometimes, and it's like,
well,
but
people
in these articles I've been researching, people say, I mean, it's literally either number one or number two thing that couples fight about most, because it makes you uncomfortable, makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing. Another thing that's very, 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 very uncomfortable are prenups. Okay, now we're not going to give you exactly what we've done before, if we did, if we didn't, because some things are private. Like I know we're very, very public in the world, but like some things are just kind of like our finances are kind of like left, kind of whatever. But we did have a discussion about it, and I know that you were very, very much against it. I really, really wanted one, because I had a son going into this before I met you. So like, again, we talked about it for a little bit, and it was never a fun conversation. No. But I do say this because I know a lot of people that do have prenups, and a lot of people recommend prenups, right? And the one thing that I said to you that I think is a really good example is, because I think one of the things you said to me was, do you think you were getting divorced, or are you going to have one foot out the whole time?
I just felt like we were setting our marriage up to fail the best way possible.
And I think other people...
You know how some people like aim to fail in a successful way? Like, okay, this will be the least worst way to fail. And I just didn't... I thought we should put a lot more energy into what can we do good for our relationship, not what can we do good if our relationship ends. And that's what bothered me.
And I think that is the argument for people that are against prenups.
Yeah.
And then here is the argument for people who are for prenups. I said, listen, it's you never, ever, ever want to get divorced. This is a just in case. And the analogy that I gave was, I don't ever, 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 ever intend to die, but life insurance is what you buy just in case that does happen, right?
But no, because you have to die at some point.
Okay, so car insurance. Okay, better example then. Car insurance.
Illegal to not have it.
I never, ever, ever expect to get in a car crash ever, but I pay into car insurance just in case it happens. It's literally a just in case situation. And as you can tell by our conversation right now, it's getting a little funky. It's not a fun conversation to have. Money is very, very taboo in relationships. It makes people uncomfortable. That's why we're doing this podcast right now. This episode is because to explain that, like, if you're going through it, we went through it. We're going through it. Like, money can really be an anxiety stressor.
And I have to say, as somebody who's stressed a lot about money and how it gets spent and all of that, since we combined our finances, we've had significantly less issues with our money.
Totally.
Which is, I just feel like we're teammates with it. It never feels divided. And there were certain times where, we would go do something and I thought that it was like a date, and then you thought that was one of the things we were splitting, because then it got weird, like what's a date and what's not or whatever. And I'd be like, well, I didn't actually want to spend money on that. I thought, did you just want to go?
Wait a second, I got to split the wedding? I'm like, yes, you got to split the wedding.
We were combined. No, but there was just certain like shows we went to where I'm like, well, I didn't really care about that show. I went because you wanted to go. And like that kind of stuff would bother me. But once like everything was combined and you're just like a team and stuff like that, like it felt... It like stopped.
And now that we're combined, I get like, hey babe, why did you what's this like Zelle payment on February 15th? I'm like, babe,
I don't care. I want to know.
She asks questions in every part of my life, including bank accounts.
It is my money too, because like I honestly I have a job and I'm putting money into the account that we're using. You definitely do. I get to be like, what is this? I get to say that. All
right, let's move along a little bit here. We have a list of 7 steps to stop fighting over money, because as you can tell, money is a very, very stressful conversation for couples and everything. All right, so here are 7 steps to stop fighting over money.
Okay, what do you got for me?
Number 1, recognize and appreciate your differences. I think we do that. I think you realize that I'm a little bit more of a free spender on things that I want and that you want, and you're a little bit more tight when it comes to spending.
Right. And I do think that you've learned with me that I'm good at letting you get what you want, but you need to come talk to me about it to make me feel better. I feel like now you've come to me, what?
Like Cubs tickets.
Yes. So you have to, oh my God. Okay.
So last year, the Cubs were very, very close to going to the playoffs. Okay, we were very excited. We thought we were going to be in the playoffs. So what the Cubs do to season ticket holders, they give you an invoice you have to pay for all potential playoff and World Series games to be played. You pay up front, and then if they make it that far, all those games you've already paid for. So I go to her, I go, hey babe, I got the invoice. This is great news. The Cubs are probably going to the playoffs. Hopefully the World Series. We get to pay for for these tickets, right? For face value. And then what did you say?
I asked what he meant by an invoice. Because once our finances became combined, now it's a conversation, are we going to buy season tickets? Because this is my savings and our money. Like, it's also, it is not like he just had this massive pot and I'm not contributing to it. It doesn't matter.
For
like
20 years, it was my decision. And now I have to talk things over.
Yeah, you do. Because, like, I'm also spending my money on it. It's only fair. Like, the money's coming out of my account for that, too. So he comes in, and he tells me this. And when we decided to get Cubs tickets, he was like, this is like the financial breakdown. This is how many you'll sell. Like, he had a pitch for me when we were getting it because they're expensive. And I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah. So I agreed. And he goes, one of the things he said to me is you make your money back if we go to the playoffs and World Series. That's when you really make your money off of these things. And I'm like, okay, that's a good point. So when he said we got an invoice, I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, it's like, so we can pay for the playoff games. I thought they were included. I thought that's when you said we'll make our money back, it's because look, now you pay for the season. So if the season goes longer, then you get more games.
So again, she thought you pay for like the regular season. Yeah. And then if the Cubs make the playoffs and World Series, the Cubs are so nice. They're like, you know what? Thank you for being a season ticket holder. Here are all the playoff games.
But you're paying for the season.
And all the World Series tickets for free. Congratulations.
Well, I go, what did you mean by we make our money back?
I meant like you could sell, like say, like the World Series 2016. I went to Game 3 and Game 5 with my dad and Tristan. But Game 4 I couldn't go to because I was working for the Bulls, and we had a Bulls game that I had to host that night. So I sold those tickets for a ton of money over face value. That's how you make your money back.
Oh, okay. Demand. Yeah, but then I go, okay, so you're buying these and we're just gonna we're gonna flip all of them and sell them. And he goes, well, I want to go to a lot. I go, this is just costing me. Well, what do you mean you want to go to a lot? So, but one thing you have learned about me is if you do break it down, like, listen, I'm going to sell this many or do that or whatever it is.
And this season, how'd it work out?
We sold literally like all of our tickets.
The Cubs are a very, very hot business right now because they're good, they're fun, they're a great team, and
so that's how you learned to understand our differences, though. Is it like you can't just go spend it and not say something to me because then I'm gonna freak out.
Right. All right. Number 2, share a joint bank account. That is what we did, and what you're saying is it was a better situation for you once we combined our finances.
Yeah, I just felt like it made us more together. And I felt like it was less awkward to ask questions because it's our money. Right. So it gives both of us the right to ask questions or have opinions about it.
You'd be asking.
I'd be asking.
You'd be asking questions.
Okay.
Number 3, schedule budget date nights.
What does that mean?
In marriage, efficient budgeting means you should make time each month for face-to-face budget date nights. Okay, this is cool if that's what you want to do. I will say, and I'll give you credit here, Kenzie, you trust me financially to do what's best for our family. I think you realize I have 20 something years, if not more, of success financially. So we don't really budget for the most part. You kind of just do trust where I'm going and what I'm doing.
If something happens, you would come to us and be like, hey, we can't do date nights or we can't buy this till this time because that's when this check's coming or whatever. You would communicate that.
So like perfect example, last year, our tightest year ever because we had to pay for our own wedding. Yeah. Okay. We got married. There were some, I didn't realize there were also wedding rings involved. I thought the engagement ring was all I had to do. I guess we had to buy wedding rings as well. Didn't know that. But the wedding, it was in Tulum, Mexico.
Paid for a honeymoon.
You wanted a front patio. We put in a front patio.
Hey-o.
It was the most expensive year of my entire life and yours, I'm sure, as well.
Absolutely. I'm getting pregnant.
And then
I know that we had Marino in February, but still the nursery, a baby shower, like things like that.
Yeah. So that was when I had to go to Kenzie. I was like, listen, I know you love your date nights and everything, but like we gotta scale back a little bit on, the super, super expensive restaurants. Like we should just really scale back.
Start using those reward programs, baby.
And then I went on and I joined every rewards program there was to make sure that
we needed to be rewarded really bad.
We did. And we were with the little Nino, Marino.
Yes.
All right. Number 4, avoid wild exaggerations. I like this, not just about money, but about anything. Never say stuff like this. you never do this or you always do that. Like, I like that because that's not true. You're speaking in generalities. Like, to say you never take me out or you always spend too much shopping, those aren't productive things to say to your significant other.
I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I do think sometimes you're guilty of that when you get mad, though.
Oh, jeez.
When you do lead into, okay. So Justin will tell me something that, like, say, one thing that you told me a long time ago is you don't think I apologize enough. You said that to me.
Yeah, it doesn't come out of your mouth.
But I worked really hard on that, and the issue is you're not good at recognizing.
What am I not good at again? Tell me.
You're not good at. You never. No, I'm kidding. You're not good at recognizing the effort to change. So say I apologize, like you tell me that, and then I start apologizing a lot. But then there's one fight where I'm like, no, I really think this one's on you. You'll hit me with you never apologize. And it's like, that's not, hey, like you need to like wake up and realize when someone is progressively getting better at something. So there's been things you told me in our relationship, because I take it serious when you tell me something bothers you. I do actively work on it or try to see if I recognize it when it happens. Like, do I actually not apologize? Let me like reflect on that the next time we have a disagreement.
Well, they say to never say like you never and you always, but I'm going to say it right now. You always are perfect. Just for the record.
That's so annoying. That's so condescending.
Number 5, attack your debt together. Thankfully, you and I are debt free.
Yep.
And things are a little more tight because of the wedding and all that kind of stuff.
Besides like cars and a house and stuff.
Yeah.
Like obviously like not everything in our lives are paid off, but like we have normal bills.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. And we attack those together. We do. Yeah. Number 6, don't be afraid of compromise.
Oh, you're terrified of compromise. You are shaking in your boots just reading it.
No, not really.
You're not a compromiser.
What?
You're a convincer.
You say that, yeah, you said that recently that I always...
You talk me into everything. And I have really...
Like what?
I'm not going to get into it because...
Is that bad, huh?
You talk me into crap all the time. And the problem is when you're excited about something, you make promises that you don't keep because you amend them later. So say you're like, okay, if we do this, I promise you when this this is how it's going to be if we do this. But then you'll be like, well, yeah, but it was raining, or yeah, but like once it happens, there's always like an amendment to that. And I'm starting to realize it. And I'm like, I'm going to put a cork in your mouth the next time you try to talk me into something. I'm done with it. You don't compromise, you convince. And you know what's funny?
What's funny?
Is that you will put a lot of effort into it. Like I can tell when you're getting ready to convince, not to compromise, you're getting ready to convince, and I'm going to have to compromise is what it means. You sit down, like you want to have this, you're like, I'm going to communicate with you, and you give me this whole list of why it's a good idea. And at the end, if I don't agree with you, like, well, I still have my same opinion. I don't want that. It makes you mad. Like you're like, I can't believe I just told you all this stuff. It's like, I don't care. I told you how I felt already.
I don't
like
feel that.
It really upsets you.
I don't feel that at all. I think that we decide things together because we're a family.
Do you think that?
I think that
you're a con artist. You're really good at talking me into. You know me, and you're really good at.
I don't really know
things.
what you're talking about. Like, what are we talking besides Cubs season tickets? Which,
no,
by the way, you're welcome.
Oh my god! See, no, you talk me into stuff, and I'm like,
I feel like I can't probe too much because I feel like you're gonna get mad and like. It's not good for the pod.
I know, but you do. You talk me into everything.
All right, number 7. Keep the end in mind. As a couple, you know where you are right now, and after a few months of budget date nights, you should have a shared vision of where you want to be. A big part of marriage is creating a life that you love together. Money is simply a tool to help you realize those dreams. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Money is simply a tool to help you realize those dreams.
My dad always kind of says something like that. He's like, money's replaceable. We need more money. We can get more money. Like, he's like, I can always work a different job. I can always work over. I can always do, like, just don't let it control you to that point. He was a big proponent of that.
My father as well always say, it's only money. It's only money. When I was going through not one, but 2 custody battles for Tristan, very, very bad time in my life. I mean, I spent way too much money on lawyers and just... I'm going to make this episode explicit. Too much bullshit.
Amen.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
But my father, at the end of the day, because the resolution was great, I had majority custody of Tristan. And to this day, he's with us the majority of the time and everything's great. Life is great. And my dad, when it was all going down, I was like, oh, but the money I was spending on lawyers, he goes, listen, you can always make more money. Not you literally can always make more money, different job, different this, whatever. But like you have your son, like it's all good, you know. And I agree, completely worth it. But funny, both of our dads had that.
That was always when
stance.
I would, because I did have money anxiety.
Yeah.
And so when I'd get stressed out about like, oh my gosh, what if I can't get school paid off in time? Or it's like you're gonna be able to make money. Like it's going to be okay.
I give you those pep talks now.
You do.
Like,
I still need them. I really do. Money truly does give me anxiety. I think I've gotten a lot better.
You have
a lot better, but it still exists within me for sure. But it's calmed down.
I think I've been good for you in that way.
You have. No, you give me good anxiety pep talks.
Why do you guys make money? Like enjoy life. You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't make money so it just sits away forever. Like savings are very, very important. Investments are important, but like enjoy the present. Enjoy right now, because listen, tomorrow is not promised for anybody.
I know. You know what I suck about is that I always have a goal. I always have a financial goal. Like if I had this much saved up, then I'd be comfortable. But then you get there and like say something happens, you're like, oh, okay, well, right, but what if both water heaters broke? So okay, let me get that much. Like I always get that in my head where my goal actually doesn't make me as comfortable as I think it's going to make me.
Yeah, I hear you. We spent a lot of money on our wedding in Tulum, but you know what? Like it was stressful at times, but looking back, was it not the perfect wedding?
We had such a good wedding.
And I would do it all over again.
Did.
I would do it all over again, right?
We had such a kick-ass wedding.
Yeah, it was amazing for sure. All right, moving along to Famously in Love. We thought instead of focusing on like one story, let's kind of, with the money category here, let's kind of talk about a bunch. How about like the biggest divorce settlements of all time?
Ooh.
You know, because
honey.
If you don't have a prenup and you get divorced,
or you violate prenups, because that's some people make mistakes there.
There are things that happen where it's like, you owe a lot of money to somebody, or you split in half or whatever. So we thought it'd kind of be a fun way to wrap up this episode of our money episode of the Romance Podcast. So, all right, Scooter Braun.
He made the list.
The manager of Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande, I believe Usher. Anyways,
so many.
Yeah, I think a bunch of people have also left him. This is the guy that Taylor Swift hates because he bought a bunch of her past masters. And I mean, you should know who Scooter Braun is. He's actually a very, very big time music industry person.
Yes.
Some people love him, some people hate him. Okay,
yep.
But anyways, him and how do you pronounce that? Yale Cohen?
Yale Cohen?
Okay.
I don't know.
So Scooter Braun and Yale Cohen, they got divorced back in 2021 after 7 years of marriage. Okay. Bless you.
Sorry. Oh.
That's okay. Hey, it's a live podcast.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry.
That's a first.
I tried not to, but it tickled.
Look, she's getting allergic to divorces and prenups and money.
Stressing me out.
It's stressing you out. You're getting hives right now, babe.
Shut up.
All right. As part of Scooter Braun's settlement, he was ordered to pay $20 million to his ex.
Holy crap.
Hold on. Along with $60,000 per month in child support for their 3 young kids.
Oh my God. Oh, their kids' names are, is that Jaeger or do you think Jagger?
Probably Jagger, honey.
Okay.
He didn't name his son Jaeger. Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I was like, Jaeger. Okay. Okay, so what else? Read that. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Anyway, this is why I read it. Let me read this stuff.
I thought it was a soft J. Yogging? We're going yogging?
Yeah, yogging. All right. So the ex-wife, Cohen, also retained their $30 million Brentwood family home and kept her 2021 Land Rover Defender, plus some pieces of art.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
20 mil, 60 G's a month on Jaeger.
On Jaeger.
There's the headline. He spent $60,000 a month on Jaeger. Or his son Jagger.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Kevin Costner and Cindy Silva. This is an old one. They got divorced in 1994. They did not have a prenup, and Cindy Silva got $80 million in settlement fees back in 1994. $80 million.
Wow.
It was a record-setting amount at that time. Here's the kicker, parentheses, Costner is currently going through his second divorce from wife, Christine Baumgartner. But an airtight prenup means she will not be entitled to spousal support.
Wow.
He learned. Yeah, $80 million back in 1994.
$80 million.
Yeah. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Okay. What do you got?
You guys, this was This was a shit show all over the place.
Oh my God.
All over TikTok. I was actually really into this. This was really,
Everybody was.
Yeah.
You couldn't not look at it.
Yeah, it was crazy. So let's get to the results here. The jury awarded Johnny Depp $15 million in damages because she was like defamed him and all those different things.
Right. He won that.
But Amber Heard only had to pay $10.35 million due to Virginia law cap on punitive damages.
Oh.
Yeah. But she then countersued Johnny Depp, and she won one of the 3 defamation counts, and she was awarded $2 million in damages. But both parties appealed, and they announced that they settled. And how cool is this? Johnny Depp got $1 million from Amber Heard, and he donated the entire thing to charity.
Which, okay, it was kind of a slice, because I don't know if you know this part.
Huh.
Amber Heard claimed when they got divorced and she got money, pre this lawsuit.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
She said she was going to give it all to charity, and she hadn't yet, and they were calling her out, and she goes, well, I pledged it, I'm going to. And they're like, well, it's been like 3 years.
Right,
What do you mean you pledged? She goes, I pledged the entirety. And that's like that famous clip of the girl going, but you gave no money. She goes, I pledged it. She goes, that doesn't mean the same, but you didn't do it.
So Johnny Depp actually gave $1 million to charity.
That was I feel like that was totally a slight. Like any money from her he's like, this is what it looks like when you don't just pledge it and you give it.
But the charity, they definitely benefited. So great, you know?
Yeah.
This
Somebody came
one.
out a winner.
This is a big one. Dr. Dre and Nicole Young.
This was also messy.
This is messy.
They were messy.
Dr. Dre agreed to pay his ex-wife, Nicole Young, $100 million in their divorce settlement. Dr. Dre planned to pay Young in 2 installments of $50 million, so two of them, as part of a property settlement agreement. $100 million. Now, Dr. Dre, who was worth $820 million at the time of the split, agreed to give her over more than 1/5 of his fortune and roughly half of his liquid assets.
Now, I will say they were together for a super long time.
24 years of marriage.
Yeah, like prior to him having all the money that he had and stuff like that. So I feel like
he was famous and he was rich, but not like Beats by Dre rich. Right.
So I will say
Speaking of Beats by Dre,
I'm wearing them.
So any kind
You're
of
welcome, Nicole.
Any kind of endorsement here, Dre? Let's go.
We helped Nicole get all that money.
We did.
So I will say though, some of these people, it wasn't like, a 2-year fling and now they're getting hot. This was a legit marriage. I would imagine Dr. Dre put her through plenty. I would imagine he wasn't like,
no, I think he was
the
a perfect
easiest
husband.
going, most romantic. That's speculation. I'm just throwing it out there.
He's a doctor.
It's every mom's dream.
All right, and last but not least, this is a big one, and her name is Mackenzie, so I thought you'd like this one a lot.
Oh, well, it's not me.
Jeff and Mackenzie Bezos.
Oh, I didn't realize his ex was named Mackenzie.
Yeah, so Jeff Bezos, obviously the founder of Amazon, and he was named the world's richest man June of 2018, and then he got divorced in 2019. You can't have that title of the richest man ever and then get divorced and not think you're going to pay up.
Yeah,
right.
That's a tough one.
All right, so they got divorced. They were married for 25 years. So again, she was in early.
Honestly, I think she was in early on the whole Amazon thing. It wasn't. I mean, Amazon hasn't been as big of a deal as it is for 25 years. It was probably still selling books and stuff. Don't you think?
True. Yeah. So Mackenzie Bezos walked away with around $36 billion. Let me say it again. Mackenzie Bezos walked away with $36 billion, making her one of the richest women in the world.
Here's the deal. a lot more relationships end than stay together, because if you consider dating and marriage, most of the people that you end up seeing on a relationship level, most of those don't work out, because you only get married to, hopefully one of those, and then sometimes that doesn't even work out, right? If it's not going to work out, you might as well get $36 billion.
Well, there's only a few men in the world that have that kind of money to pay out.
Because
if we get divorced, you ain't getting $36 billion.
And it sucks. You know what I mean? It's like, we might as well work on this, We might as well work on this.
That's crazy. I'm going to do one more because the Chicago connection here. I didn't see this one. Michael and Juanita Jordan. Michael Jordan.
So do you know this? Was he with her really early? Because he was a success, right out of high school, basically. So
they were together for a long time. They were, yes. I don't know exactly. 17 years.
17 years.
So 2006, they got divorced in 2006. 17 years they were married. So she was with him during the heyday for sure.
But would it be before then? Probably, because he was think about it. If she was with him for 17 years, the 95 Bulls, 96.
No, that's what I just said. Right. I said she was with him during the entire heyday. Yeah.
Right. So also pre-heyday then. not like mid heyday.
I did the math. Roughly, they were together from 1989 on 90, something like that. So like before he won his first championship, he was always a star.
Right.
But before he became like the greatest of all time. All right. So So Juanita filed for divorce in 2002, and she ended up receiving one of the biggest payouts in history, $168 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
168 million.
168.
Now, I will say, because we've talked about this before, when we were talking about money and all this, like in our relationship and discussing prenups, to or not to, all these things. I always, like, my whole thing has always been, I am never going to be an evil person. Like, if we don't work out just because I think that you're being like a snippy, like, brat, and there's not romance there or whatever, I'm not going to be an evil person. If you cheated on me, I would try to ruin your life. That's when it would be like,
it's very Christian of you.
No, it is. But it wasn't Christian of you to cheat. It was in the vows. It's like the faithful part. So you broke it first. In my mind. So that
hypothetically, by the way, this is not a real thing.
I know, but like it gets
She's getting
me
mad.
angry.
She's getting mad. You see?
But like that is where I would be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna take half your retirement. Like then, like I wouldn't not want to set you up for success if it was like that. It's just not there anymore. But if you like legitimately ruin the relationship, that's when I'd be like, so what could I ruin for you is how I would feel.
I said it before on a podcast, so I'll end it with this one. My lawyer during my custody battle said, listen, the lawyer said this to me, I'm rich because people are dumb and stubborn, okay? People, when money gets involved, people lose their minds and they don't think properly, okay? It would have cost my lawyer, me, more to fight harder on this area than just to be like, fine, I'll sign this settlement, right?
Right.
I mean, but stubborn people don't do that. They fight to the bone.
Why are you tapping me?
I'm just talking.
I thought you were saying like I fought to the bone. I'm like, I didn't do anything.
Like crazy people. And you know what? You gotta check out YouTube because we have a video component, and you'll see how funny that was.
It wasn't funny.
Ending our podcast.
It wasn't funny.
Of this week's episode of the Romance Podcast. And I know we're talking a lot about money and divorce and all those different things, but remember, you cannot spell romance without Roman. I love you, honey.